Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais with another weekly wrap-up for Health Declassified. And this is the show where we look into the truth behind health and wellness. So first, how are you, Kathleen?
I'm doing great, Peter. Thank you so much. And thank you also very much for tuning into our show. We so appreciate having you. And Peter, I
Good. And
just returned from a lovely trip.
yes, you have indeed. You want to talk about it?
I do want to talk about it. I just returned
Well, tell our audience where you were.
a fabulous 2 weeks in Ireland, and it was just fantastic. Now, this isn't my first trip there. I just absolutely love Ireland and have been there several times. It never gets old. It's my favorite place to go. I've seen many countries, but that one it's captured my heart. And one of the things that I remarked, Peter, while I was there is the local restaurants serve locally grown
Mhm.
food, and they even go so far on their menus to say exactly where your food has come from. They'll say, your local beef has come from a farm. They name the farmer, and it's from 6 kilometers away, and the chicken
Wow.
comes from 3 kilometers away, and they name the farmer. It's just lovely. You know where your food comes from. You walk into the grocery stores, and it's, as much as possible, it's Irish food. And I just love
Mm.
that. And I think the European countries also have different standards in terms of additives than we do here in North America. A lot of things that have been banned in Europe are still in our food sources here in North America, which is really appalling because this is what's making our society sicker, right? And
Yeah, absolutely.
right. And anyways, it was just lovely to have spent 2 wonderful weeks there. While we were there, there was a horrible fire that broke out in one of Ireland's beloved museums, I would say. It's called Famine Village, and Famine Village has been a family-owned business. It was created by just this one man who wanted to pass on the history of Ireland during the famine years, and he built this. He got artifacts, and he just put this together with his own hands, and it was just lovely. And I remember being there back in 2002. It was rather small at the time, but well worth seeing. And when we went back there last September, it had grown into something just magnificent. In fact, it draws like busloads of tourists now annually. And
Wow.
it's recognized by Tourism Ireland as a tourist spot now because it had grown that much. And unfortunately, while we were there this time, it went up in smoke. There was a fire that broke out. It was so sad to see. But Peter, the sense of community is so strong that within a very short time, they already had a GoFundMe page set up. The community just banded together to raise funds. They had volunteer crews come out to basically level the ground, take all the
Hmm.
debris away. They're committed to rebuilding. And it was just, waiters and waitresses were giving up their tips for a weekend and
Yeah.
donating it to this cause. It's lovely to see. I mean, it was
Oh, good.
tragic, but at the same time, the sense of community that we saw was just inspiring. And, sometimes I feel like as our cities become bigger and bigger, we're losing that a little bit. So do you agree with that? Or,
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I see. I haven't been to Ireland. I've been to England many times, but I sense that coming from Africa, being a farmer in Africa most of my life, and living near small villages or towns, sense of community was really, really strong, and I felt a huge lack of that when I came here to Canada. Yeah, uh, that was. I can't criticize Canada for that. Don't forget, if you've lived in one country all your life, you have friends from school, university, sports, army, if you've been in the army. And of course, I didn't have that. So I came here as a in my mid 50s with no history, no acquaintances in Canada, except for my one son. So you've got to start again. And that's probably why I felt the lack of community so much. I'm not knocking Canadians for that at all. But you're right. In small centers and in Europe especially, I do believe there's a stronger sense of community. Yeah.
Right. And it was just yeah, it was just a lovely trip and I can't say enough about it. The scenery was a picture postcard wherever you went.
Mhm.
I mean, it was a feast for the eyes and the soul.
Yeah.
The air, breathing that
Wow.
air is just, oh, it's so different than being in a big city, you know?
Yeah, and those photos you sent me every couple of days, you send me a few photos of the beach and the waves, and there was a lovely one of somebody riding a horse on the beach that you sent me, and
And of course,
sheep, lots of photos of sheep and lambs. Yeah,
absolutely.
no, it was really good.
We
Well,
even rescued
it's
a
good to have you
lamb.
back.
Yes, well, we rescued a lamb last year.
Yes, that's right, you did.
Yeah, when we were there in September, there was a lamb that had its horns caught in some fencing, and we managed to rescue it.
Mm.
This time, we happened to be driving by and spotted this poor sheep on its back. And if anyone knows, sheep cannot turn themselves up, and it would have died that way because it just couldn't get back on its feet. And so we stopped and pushed it back up and off it went. So
There you go.
we seem to have become a little bit of sheep whisperers.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh,
Oh dear. Well, it's good to have you back.
thank you.
And because Kathleen's been away, we don't have a deep dive into a specific health or wellness issue this morning. But a couple of things that I picked up while Kathleen's been away was more concerns and more links between tattoos and cancers, and not just skin cancer, it's several different types of cancer.
Right.
A definite correlation
And a lot
between.
of that, I think, Peter, the article that you're referring to specifically talked about the link between tattoos and lymphomas.
Yes, it
Mhm.
did. It did. And it said they expected the results to be worse for people who had all black tattoos and large tattoos. They found there wasn't a huge difference. There was a slightly lower connection between people with colored ink tattoos, but not significant. And there was no significant difference between whether you had a lot of your skin surface covered in tattoos or just some small tattoos. It seemed to be if you had any tattoos, you increased the risk of cancer. So that was an interesting one. And then I've been reading even more about what many people call nature's miracle cure, DMSO, for pain and vascular problems. There's quite a lot of literature coming out and quite a lot of um, established medical doctors are now looking at that again, whereas it was sort of hidden for years and years. And I had a minor skin cancer excised recently, and I spoke to my surgeon about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, I know DMSO. It's very good for healing and for pain." He said you don't want to use it too excessively. That was his opinion, but he knew it. So I was quite surprised because in the past I've spoken to doctors. I first became acquainted with DMSO 30 years ago when we use it on horses, right? And at that time it was not recommended for humans. So quite a few of these old remedies are now being used more frequently and more effectively.
Now, out of curiosity, how did you use it with horses? Was it orally or topical? How did that go?
No, topical. It was mainly for joint pain and tendon issues. So you painted it on with the paintbrush, and if they had long hair, then you shaved their leg a little bit and painted it on. It was, yeah, you painted it on with a paintbrush,
And I bet it
and
was
it seemed to
very
help.
effective.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely helped them with pain for sure. Yeah. And you can't fool horses. It either works or it doesn't work. They can't tell you yes just to make you happy. You see the results. So that was good. So those are the two that I looked at. And then my one of my favorites, we were talking to a guest yesterday. Her episode will come up in a few weeks' time, and we mentioned blue zones. So I'm constantly looking for information on blue zones. And more I see a direct link between exercise and what Kathleen was talking about, community living and long life and longevity. So I do a lot of exercise, and I believe it's one of the things that keeps me going. But that link is just getting more and more publicity. So if you're out there and you're not exercising, you need to start looking after your body and getting out there and doing some exercise. That's no more lectures from me. That was it. Have you got anything else on the health side, Kathleen?
I just wanted to give another plug, Peter, for Dr. Morse's detox kits. As you know,
Mm.
it's springtime, and springtime is a great time of year to just you clean your house. Why not clean your body as well? And he has come up with these kits that you would consume on a monthly basis. They are made up of tinctures, so herbs that you would put in a little bit of water and like a few drops in a little bit of water and consume it that way. You don't, it doesn't taste bad at all. And then there's also gut supplements. Again, these are all herbs that help to flush out toxins out of your gut lining, but it also helps to improve your kidney filtration, your lymphatic drainage, which is vitally important to get rid of those toxins. And I know that you're going to be talking about a book today, Peter, but I just want to give a heads up, just
Well,
briefly.
just keep going. That's our book. That's our featured book for the
This
week.
is our featured
Kathleen's
book,
got it right there.
The Detox Miracle Source Book. It was written by Dr. Morse himself. In this book, he goes into great detail about the detoxification process. He even includes a few recipes because if you're wondering, well, what can I eat while I'm going through this? He gives some recipes on what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So,
Ah, there we go.
yes. So,
That's our book.
yes. And
Thanks, Kathleen.
that's it for me, Peter.
That's it from you. Okay, so what happened over the last week or so? Well, last week we published an episode with Ethan Pompeo from Green Valley Nutrition, a very interesting man who had a condition called PANDAS. And don't ask me to explain that acronym because it's many long words that I can't remember too well, but it's associated with some streptococcus infection during childhood, which triggers this autoimmune disease known as PANDAS. And it's quite serious. He was prescribed 40 different drugs while he was a youngster, and none of them worked. And eventually he stumbled on cannabis, and it worked. It was the only thing that relieved these conditions. So he started his own business producing CBD products, and he's very successful. So that was our guest last week. Coming up on the 10th of June, we'll have Dave Durrell, and his goal in life is to help you keep fit after 50. And his website is strengthafter50.com. And he has a whole lot of exercises and things you can do when you get to 50 to keep fit. And he explains that we lose 10% of our muscle mass every decade after the age of 20. So by the time you're 50, you've lost a fair bit of muscle mass if you have not been protecting it. And he tells you how you can slow this decline down and how you can start to build up muscles, believe it or not, after 50. So it's a very good episode, especially for any of you who are, in fact, over 50. And then after that, on the 24th, I've got it out of sequence. Sorry about that. On the 27th of May is Dr. Carl Rothschild with red light therapy. And he is one of the pioneers of using red light to cure a number of afflictions and conditions. And that's a good episode to watch as well. So apologies for getting them back to front. And then we wrap up on the 24th of June. We have Jacqueline Downs, who's talking about epigenetics and there was another long word.
Nutrigenomics.
There, you got it right. Nutrigenomics. There you go. So we'll talk more about that next week. But those are our three guests that are coming along. And Kathleen's mentioned the book and our product. And for me, we have all these interesting guests coming up. So don't miss out. Hop onto the website, healthdeclassified.com, and sign up for our newsletter. We only send you one email a week, but then at least you'll know who's coming next week or the week after and who's coming in the future, and you won't miss out. Thanks for listening, and back to you, Kathleen.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next week, take care, everyone. Bye bye.